It's a pleasure to have you here. And so where we are right now is the Heritage Kitchen of Devereaux House, which actually originally was the main house. And it was originally built by the Devereaux family, who first came to this land in about the 1830s. Now, Elijah Devereaux acquired the land from his captain, who was in military service, and he then cleared the land. It was full of pine trees, white pines, and created a log cabin that would have been close to this site. Now, the Devereaux were a very prosperous and wealthy family. They were very successful farmers because, as we know, Halton farmland is Class 1 agricultural land. The last Devereaux actually to live in this house was Jack. And Jack was the grandson of Elijah Devereaux. He lived here until the early 1970s. He was a bachelor, and by all accounts, Jack was a bit of a character. You can see in this picture that Jack is plowing the land by hand. Jack, at this point, was probably in his 50s, and this was the 1960s when this picture was drawn from. At that time, of course, lots of people had tractors, and farm machinery was very, very common. Jack was a bit of an old school guy. And so he loved to just walk the land and plow that fertile Halton soil, and he did very well as a farmer as well. So farmers in southern Ontario used to have a place called the summer kitchen, and that would be an area that was typically made of wood that extended off the side of the brick house, where there were several doors, where the windows could be open, where the doors could be open, and the heat from the stove or the laundry or other cooking activities and so forth wouldn't go into the house and make everybody uncomfortable. In a summer kitchen, outside, you could do all kinds of things that the family needed to be comfortable and well fed. Now this is a washboard. Now laundry would have been a major activity out there in the summer kitchen, and that scrubber would be used a lot. Out there right now is our garden and parking lot, but at one point there was a big summer kitchen that the Devereaux family would have used every day. A very busy place. You'll see from the map of Halton County that this right here is Georgetown, this is Acton, there's Limehouse, and the Devereaux family farm that we've identified here was ultimately 200 acres just on the edge of Georgetown and Stewarttown down here. The Devereaux were very successful as farmers, and in about the 1880s they were able to add an addition onto the house. That became the front parlor and the grander entrance that you saw as coming in the main door. The house, as I said, was owned by the Devereaux family up until the 1970s. And then Jack died, and since he was a bachelor, he had no heirs. And the house transferred to his nieces and nephews, who didn't need the house for their purposes. They sold it, and over the next 25 years, it went through a series of owners, particularly developers and builders, people who kind of speculated that because it was so close to Georgetown that it might come into the urban boundary. Well, the town of Halton Hills also knew that this was a valuable piece of land, and in 1999, they actually purchased the farm for the purposes of a sports park. And so if you look at this picture here, it shows you the 100 acres and actually another 100 acres that was a cousin's farm. and it is being transformed from cornfields and beans and so forth into sports fields. So we've gone that transition. It's still fields, we still have that beautiful agricultural vista, but the Devereaux House property is now in very different use. We have made sure, though, that we've maintained some of our farming roots, and we know that it just fits to be able to grow food on this land. So we put in an allotment garden, a community allotment garden, over here in the corner of Devereaux House that I think we'll be talking about a little bit later.
All right, so we picked a lovely, beautiful day to talk about planning for spring gardens. Tell us what we're looking at here, Dan.
Well, you're looking at the Devereaux House allotment garden. As you can see, we have 12 beds of 4 by 10. They're raised beds. They're a mixture of compost and soil. We also have a couple of water tanks behind me here, and we have a composting station behind that. So I have 2 beds that Ann offered me this year so that I could grow food for the Georgetown breadbasket. We also have another couple who have their own personal bed here and took on another empty bed to grow for the food bank as well. And what I would say to home gardeners, if you're thinking about starting a garden, it's simple to do. You can do it on a relatively small area. My 2 personal home plots are relatively small. I use containers, and I can grow a number of things from tomatoes and cucumbers and zucchinis in containers. So don't put yourself off simply because you don't have room. The other thing I would say is visit Canadian seed company websites and ask for their catalogs, because what you'll get is an incredible source, a resource of information. It's fun, it's a little bit of a challenge, but that's part of the fun, and it's an opportunity to put great food on your family table.
And make some new friends along the way.
And make new friends along the way, absolutely.